Well, as Finn said, despite these new charges against the former president, many of Trump's supporters seem more passionate than ever about their candidate's chances in the 2024 election. Joining us now is one of those supporters, Republican Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida. Representative Donalds, thanks for being here. So the former president calls this indictment yet another witch hunt. You took to social media condemning the investigation. Now, this is a former president who's been criminally charged with federal crimes. Why do you feel as though this only broadens his support?
Because people can see very clearly that this is politically motivated and that most of this stuff is BS. Let's walk through them. Let's take the documents case in Mar-a-Lago. Every president takes documents home with them when they leave the White House. The reason why there's a Presidential Records Act is because it takes a former president time to go through all the documents in their possession. Why does it take time? Because the president is running the country every single day up until they leave office. And so they need a period of time to go through those documents. Under federal law, a president has 5 years to go back and forth with the National Archives about what's in their possession. NARA didn't want to wait the 5 years. So what did they do? They went to the Department of Justice. And what did the Department of Justice do? They went to the White House. What most people don't know is that the White House counsel had to sign off on the Department of Justice expanding the probe into the documents case. So that's number one. That one's politically motivated. And then number two, nobody believes that Donald Trump is letting our adversary see national security documents, especially in the light of the fact that Hillary Clinton did far worse, and she was never charged. Now, let's take the January 6th indictment that just dropped yesterday. One thing that is very clear in that is that they do not charge President Trump with sedition, seditious conspiracy, or even incitement. That is not in the indictment. What they're charging him on is this bogus conspiracy that because he objected to the results of the election, which every candidate is allowed to do in our country up until this point, they're trying to make that a federal crime. There is no federal crime here. They're taking statutes that apply to fraud dealing with money, wire fraud and things of that nature, and trying to apply it to politics. Like as what has been said by a lot of legal scholars is that this case brought by Jack Smith around January 6th is an affront. It is an anathema to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.
And Representative,
in our country, you're free to share your thoughts, even though people may not agree with you.
And Representative Donald, that's certainly part of the legal argument that the former president's attorneys have been making and will continue to make. It's something that is obviously disputed and is going to play out in a court of law.
Second thing is all these lawsuits are being brought only because he's running for president. If Donald Trump wasn't running for president, they wouldn't even be doing this. The only reason they're doing this is because he's running for president. When you look at the gross unfairness, the two-tier system of justice going on right now, where the Department of Justice has decided that if you're on the wrong side of the political aisle, they are going to come after you with everything possible. But if you're Hunter Biden, you get a sweetheart deal where they try to wrap his FARA violations in a gun charge. Even the federal judge who looked at that said this is a joke and had to throw it out. Well, it's a two-tier system of justice.
That would
the American people
that
do
would be an
not
argument, though,
this.
that the justice system isn't necessarily two-tiered. That in fact it is working. Hold on.
But rather than on that point, it is not. But let me explain why.
But sir, I allowed you to air your perspective on it.
It was a joke.
I allowed you to air your perspective on it.
Americans writ large, they know unfairness when they see it. And what you are seeing is a weaponization of the Department of Justice against the leading Republican, while at the same time, the web of corruption surrounding Joe Biden, the pay-for-play public corruption that he and his son have been involved in is basically ignored by the Department of Justice. And that unfairness, I think the American people will see it for what it is, and they'll respond in kind. Number two, Joe Biden sucks at his job. Let's be very clear. Our borders are wide open. You have Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, who is now saying we have to control the border. I'm glad that the mayor of New York finally has decided to come to common sense, but that's what's happening in our country. He sucks at his job, and his Department of Justice is going after his chief political rival.
Florida Representative Byron Donalds, we are out of time. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective. Well, we are just hours away from the former president's arraignment. Our political show, America Decides, will have team coverage of everything that's unfolding in and around the courthouse. The CBS News special report starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.